Nowadays, the MCU is the reigning king of Hollywood when it comes to superhero films. The franchise has churned out numerous films, is currently in its fourth phase of storytelling, and is putting out fantastic films and miniseries like it's nothing. But that wasn't always the case. Today we'll be talking about Marvel films that were so bad they shouldn't even have come out. Starting with the MCU's definitive success. These days, starring in a Marvel project is a badge of honor. It's a career-making boost for lesser-known actors and a great gig for superstars. And there's no dearth of content. Even at this point in time, there's a Marvel film in cinemas, one hitting cinemas soon and a couple in the works. The same is true for its miniseries on Disney+, with plenty already released, some coming out soon and plenty in the developmental phase. But Marvel's superheroes weren't always blessed with such nuanced characters. They've had quite a lot of hits and misses in their times. Moving on to Marvel films that left a lot to be desired. Marvel was established in 1939, but its first super hit movie came in the form of the 2008 Iron Man film that came as the beginning of an era for the franchise. Before this film, and sometimes after too, Marvel churned out some truly horrible film adaptations of their comic book characters. Let's talk about a few of them. First up, Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck came out in 1986. It was the first feature-length adaptation of a Marvel character, and it was a spectacular disaster. The film was produced by George Lucas and told the story of Howard the Duck, who was beamed to Earth from his home, Duck World. Once here, Howard fought the forces of evil and befriended Beverly, who he almost slept with. Wait, what? How? The film is a muddle of bad duck puns, dodgy VFX, and muddled storylines, and it was a failure of such epic proportions that it put people off comic book character-inspired films for a long time afterwards. Moving on to The Punisher. The Punisher is one Marvel character that has been botched up quite a few times. His 1989 portrayal was one such botched attempt. The film followed the story of Frank Castle, who is a 1980s one-man army type of guy, going up against the Japanese Yakuza and the Mafia all at once. The film showcased his serial killer roots, but took away his signature skull insignia. Though it was released worldwide, it did not get a theatrical run in the United States, and was buried under a pile of negative reviews. The film was the exact opposite of Howard the Duck, but still failed at bringing comic book characters to the big screen in an effective way. Next up is Captain America. Today, when you think of Captain America, the only face that comes to your mind is Chris Evans. There's no one who could portray America's greatest hero as well as the bootylicious, broody, blonde leader of the Hollywood Chris Club. However, he's not the only actor who has tried on the Star-Spangled Flag for couture. A previous 1990 version of the film saw Matt Salinger suit up in a cheap imitation of the Captain America suit and go up against the Red Skull, who had also been given an unimaginative and Italian makeover. Needless to say, the low-budget horror of a film did not do well and barely earned its direct-to-video release. On to the Fantastic Four. Marvel has tried quite a few times to give their first superhero family a worthy screen adaptation, but they've not quite succeeded. A project is rumored to be in the works even today as a Disney Plus miniseries, but we'll have to wait to see how it'll fare. But we do hope it ends up being nothing like the 1994 film version. The film was so bad that Marvel tried their level best to erase it from the world, with Stan Lee announcing that it was never supposed to see the light of day, and Marvel executive Avi Arad buying the film for a couple of $1 million and ordering all copies to be destroyed. The film was allegedly only created to keep the film rights to the source material from expiring. Fans can still seek out bootleg versions of the movie, but fair warning, it is, to put it nicely, trash. And then there was the Daredevil. By 2003, Spider-Man and X-Men had given Marvel some renewed confidence in adapting comic book heroes to screens, but then the 2003 version of Daredevil came out. Starring Ben Affleck as Daredevil, Jennifer Garner as Elektra, Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin, and Colin Farrell as Bullseye, the movie boasted a star cast and earned over double of its $78 million budget. However, it was touted as a critical failure for being another version of the overdone, sappy superhero origin story mixed with overly dark and gritty gritty ambitions. Even Stan Lee wasn't a fan, saying that the character had been misunderstood and thus made too tragic. Plus, there was that one Hulk film. Ang Lee's Hulk was a controversial affair. The film made a decent collection at the box office. Even the reviews weren't all that bad. So why is it on this list? The main reason for this film being counted as one of the worst Marvel films is simply because of its over-reliance on action sets and the moody character study vibe. Instead of tackling the events of Bruce Banner's life on the forefront, the film took a nosedive into his psychology. The film became a pit stop in Hulk's journey, who was later played by Mark Ruffalo. Thankfully, Ruffalo's version stuck and became the face of Hulk for upcoming action sagas. And then there was another version of the Punisher. At this point, we just feel bad for this character. There was another 2004 adaptation of the Punisher that tanked almost as badly as the first. Starring Thomas Jane as Frank Castle and John Travolta as the gangster Howard Saint, the film dealt with the origins of Castle as the Punisher after his family was murdered during vacation. The film did better in the financial department, but had awful reviews, being called a bizarre mix of joylessly grim and hokey. A sequel for the film was scheduled but later canceled, and the character was rebooted again. Then came Elektra. The film saw Jennifer Garner reprise her role as Elektra, but reportedly, she only took on the role due to contractual commitments from the Daredevil film. Elektra was rushed into production while Jennifer was on a break from filming her hit show Alias, and it really showed. It went on to become one of the worst faring films of Marvel Studios, and was on par with Howard the Duck in terms of rankings, getting an 11% aggregate rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The film nipped any hopes of a Daredevil sequence in the bud, and was the last female-led superhero film till 2019's Captain Marvel. And another Fantastic Four film. If there's one thing we can't fault the MCU for, it's for trying to give their first superhero family a worthy screen adaptation. Helmed by a star-studded cast, which included Lone Grufford, Jessica Alba, Michael Chiklis, and Chris Evans, who played the goofy Human Torch before becoming the iconic Captain America. While the film was considered a box office hit, its goofy, lighthearted tone and treatment of Doctor Doom, the villain, wasn't appreciated by critics or fans, who called it a massive failure. And we can't say that we disagree. Moving on to the Ghost Rider film. This one film was supposed to be a guaranteed success. It was about a biker called Johnny Blaze, who lost his soul to the devil as a result of a deal. The devil turned him into a spirit of vengeance and pitted him against Blackheart, played by Wes Bentley. The main fault in the film was its hammy jokiness and dark plotting mythology. While the movie did okay financially and even spawned a sequel, Nicolas Cage said farewell to the character. And we end with another Fantastic Four film. The sequel to the 2005 Fantastic Four film was the final nail in the coffin for Marvel's filmography before it was reborn as the MCU and churned out one hit after another, starting with Robert Downey Jr. led Iron Man. The film tried to bring to life Galactus, cosmic devourer of worlds, but failed to do so in earnest due to its familiar, goofy tone. The film fared slightly better at the hands of critics, but didn't do well enough in terms of money to get a sequel. Fans of the team can only hope for a better TV adaptation from the MCU. These films weren't inherently bad, they were just lacking in terms of the finesse we now expect from the MCU. That's why we'd rather say it was better if they hadn't been made. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and it clearly took a lot of trial and error for the MCU to become the vast, super successful empire that it is today. That's a wrap for this video. How many of these films have you watched? Do you think we missed something? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.